We are live.
Thank you. I want to welcome everybody tonight to the special community development agenda of Elyria City Council Community Development Meeting. We have two items on the agenda for tonight. The first item will be the approval of the February 8th Community Development Meeting minutes. Can I get a motion?
moved.
Second,
Motion made by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item 2, the matter of a request to amend section 1131.02 of the codified ordinances known as the zoning ordinance to establish a redevelopment overlay district. Mayor Whitfield.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to the committee for having this special meeting to be able to hear this tonight. We took the feedback that we got from you all at the last community development meeting, and Dawn, along with the law department, along with the building department, worked together to come up with a solution to some of the concerns. So I guess I'll let Dawn or Eric kind of weigh in on the details. But in essence, what we are proposing tonight is an amendment to an ordinance, as well as I believe there's a change that we did operationally that may need to be approved as well. But I'll pass that to Dawn or Eric to take the lead on that.
Thank you. I would just, I will obviously defer to Assistant Law Director Brunig. It's my understanding that Director Calvert actually has quite a bit of information on this, but there are 4 different committee reports which relate back to 4 different pieces of legislation. So just keep that all in mind. And also it's my understanding that these are intended to be emergencies should the committee take action tonight. Is that correct, Eric?
Yes, thank you, Director. That is correct. The reason for the 4 different committee reports and 4 different pieces of legislation is that as we were going through this and sort of tweaking the legislation that you saw previously, it turns out that you can't necessarily make a big change to the zoning code like we have without causing other dominoes to fall. So, you know, we ended up taking some of those uses out of the conditional uses and putting them back into principally permitted uses. But in doing so, we wanted to maintain some city control on these things. So we fell back to a position of letting the design review guidelines take care of that. Well, once we changed the design review guidelines to accommodate some of these things, we also had to change some other sections in the code because, you know, when we got to things like screening and buffering, and fence heights and things like that, the design review guidelines that we amended actually conflicted with a section of the codified ordinances that we weren't otherwise going to look at. So that's the very short overview version of why you have 4 committee reports. Just a quick bird's eye view of it. We've got 1 committee report establishing the redevelopment overlay district, and Dawn and possibly, I don't know, Stephanie's on the line, but they can explain to you the nuances of that overlay district. Then we have 1 authorizing an ordinance to amend the design review guidelines, and that one is to put in place those safeguards that we were previously going to take care of with conditional use permits, but now, based on the comments from last time, and from ICP and other potential businesses, we've decided to move those into principally permitted uses to widen, you know, the marketability of properties, as we previously discussed. So the design review guidelines need to be amended. That's the second committee report. The third one is actually, when we were delving into this, everyone knows we have design review, but if you scour the codified ordinances, you're not going to find many references to design review. So we wanted to make it explicit in the codified ordinances that there is a design review process, and that's governed as under the auspices of Planning Commission. That wasn't in there before. So again, sometimes something really simple gets overlooked, and, you know, we have design review, but we have no way to really enforce it because it's not tied into our ordinances. We're fixing that now. And then the last one is, again, that fence height with screening and buffering that I mentioned, that would amend section 1137 of the codified ordinances to defer to those design review guidelines that otherwise would have been in conflict. So with that, I would defer to Assistant Director Calvert and anybody else on the administrative side who wants to get into the details of this.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, I think you did a great job, Eric. That was a perfect summary, I think, of where we are today. So just as a reminder to everyone, we're proposing the overlay district so that we would lay light industrial on top of business general, or vice versa. We would be able to allow business general on top of light industrial in further defined areas. So the language we're looking at today is not to implement a specific zoning overlay district, but to amend the ordinance to allow us to implement districts in the future.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I would also like to say that I want to thank Law Director Deary and Assistant Law Director Bruning for putting this all together, dotting the i's and crossing the t's and making sure we do this right so we can get this through. And I just like to add that I am going to take them in the exact order that Assistant Bruning had mentioned earlier. So that'll be the order. And I'll read each one as we go. But first off, I know there's other folks that want to speak. So at this point, anybody that wants to weigh in, please let me know. Okay, Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chair, where exactly right now does the district encompass that we're dealing with right now? You said it can be changed or enlarged. What are we dealing with right now? Just the Midway Mall area, or just the Sears area, or could you explain that to me?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Bruning.
Right now, Councilman Oswald, there is no district. This will establish the district. There is another pending action item before council that we're not going to see tonight, but that will get, will get passed on one way or the other in the next few weeks here. And that is going to, theoretically, it's going to make the mall area, and there are specific parcels in the mall area, part of this overlay district. But as of now, until council passes this, it does not exist. It is brand new to our zoning code. So there is a companion piece of legislation that will come forth, and that will make the mall area residential, or not residential, redevelopment overlay district. There could in the future be other parcels throughout the city, either that the city identifies or that parcel owners identify, that could rezone to this just like any other rezoning once the district exists.
Through you, Mr. Chair, again, so the area on, I don't know, the other side of West River, where there's a lot of strip malls, and then the area over by where Mark's is, and then there was a corner piece on the corner of Griswold and West River. So that all right now, that's not in that. These can all just be added and specified. We're just giving ourselves parameters. What I guess I don't understand what we're doing right now.
Through you,
Because-
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, Mr. Oswald and Mr. Brunig, I'm going to try not to make this more complicated, but I might. Right now, where council is being asked to create this as a legal concept, because this type of zoning does not currently exist in the city. So this is not even an option for anybody who owns property within the city. So we aren't even talking about certain property owners having this available until council takes this first step. So when you're saying, oh, what about this on Griswold, or what about this? Those property owners would still need to go through the process of asking filing, applying, what have you, to be a part of this, either themselves or through the city. But what right now council is being asked to do is to create this legally as an option.
And through you, Mr. Chair, so this option gives more marketability to these different properties wherever they are in the city by doing this?
I would say more options always gives more marketability.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go right ahead.
yeah, just to follow up on that with Mr. Oswald, just so everyone understands, this is sort of a hybrid zoning code that we don't have yet. It combines the elements of business general and light industrial and gives property owners who are in this district theoretically more options. They will have more principally permitted uses than they would have in either BG or LI or pretty much any other district in the city because of just the sheer number of principally permitted uses in that district. So the intent is absolutely to make it more marketable. And that's why I think the city administration has identified these first initial parcels that they intend to take that next step and rezone once this district exists.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Baird.
Yeah, the way I see this, basically, it means less restrictive zoning as opposed to expanding. And that's our goal here, to make it less restrictive. But we have to be careful in the big scheme of things because zoning is set for specific reasons. This gives more flexibility, but that's what we're looking for at this point in time. That's my opinion. I think that's what we're looking for. Is that correct?
Yes, I would say yes, Mr. Baird. You want more options, more marketability. The previous way to do this would have been to go through, rezoning and possibly a conditionally permitted use. And under our zoning code, a conditional use permit is as onerous to obtain as a zoning change. And that's
Correct.
what I think that property owners and marketers are trying to avoid.
Correct. I agree. Thank you.
Anybody else? Comments or questions or suggestions? Okay, seeing none, as I said earlier, I'm going to take the advice of Assistant Law Director Bruning and go in order which he had mentioned earlier. I do see a hand. Oh, no, that's Jack. Okay, never mind. Sorry. Okay, so here we go. We have considered the matter of the establishment of an overdeveloped overlay district, authorizing an ordinance to amend the zoning ordinance section 1131.02 of the Elyria Codified Ordinances to establish the said redevelopment overlay district. Could I get a motion?
So
Mr.
moved.
Chairman. Mr. Chairman,
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Bruning.
I think as Director Deary stated earlier, you're going to want emergency clauses on all of these.
Okay. Emergency clause will go on all of them, and I'll mention it after I read each one. So
Thank you.
you're welcome. So this will be an emergency. So there was a motion made by Mrs. Mitchell,
Second.
second by Mr. Sarah.
Question.
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, second committee report. We have considered the matter of design review guidelines, authorizing an ordinance to amend the design review guidelines. This would be an emergency. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Sarah,
Second.
second by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay. Third committee report. We have considered the matter of a new section of design review guidelines, authorizing an ordinance to enact a new section to promulgate the design review guidelines 1183.01 as an emergency. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
second,
Motion made by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question?
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
aye,
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, fourth committee report. We have considered the matter of design review guidelines, authorizing an ordinance to clarify when commercial and industrial fences can be allowed to exceed 8 feet in height. This would be 1137.15. We would pass this as an emergency. Could I get a motion?
so moved,
Second?
Motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Sarah.
question,
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
aye,
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, once again, I'd like to thank everybody's work on this. This is good. We all came together so we can pass this along. We've done our homework. Everybody's understands where we're at in this. So unless there's any other thing else, there's nothing else on the agenda for the special meeting. I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
second,
Moved by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question?
All questions been called. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried, meeting adjourned. See you folks shortly in the council meeting.
Thank you all
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Good work.